Welcome to the Creating and Implementing Your Solarized Campaign webinar. During this webinar, we will first go over the basics of solar technology, solar ownership models, and solar financing. Next, we will provide an overview of Solarized campaigns, including the benefits, the different campaign types, and how NYSERDA can help. And finally, we will get into the details of how to launch and implement a Solarized campaign. Solar technologies and financing. While there are a wide variety of technologies currently on the market, the three most common technologies are solar photovoltaic, solar hot water or solar thermal, and concentrated solar power. Solar photovoltaic, commonly referred to as solar PV, uses panels made of photovoltaic cells that convert energy from the sun to electricity. Solar PV is a modular technology that can be sized to power a single home, an entire office building, or an industrial facility. Its flexibility and relative simplicity have made it the most popular option for solar energy production today. Solar PV panels, or modules, are made up of individual photovoltaic cells. These panels can be combined to create an array. The panels themselves are measured in their power or capacity rating. This rating comes in the form of watts. The total capacity rating of an array will typically be presented in kilowatts or megawatts. As sunlight hits the photovoltaic cells, these cells produce electricity. The amount of electricity that the system produces over a period of time is measured in watt-hours, or commonly in kilowatt-hours. You may recognize this metric from your electric bill that you receive every month. In this presentation, we are going to talk primarily about solar systems that are connected to the electric grid. There are a few components to these systems. First, there are the solar panels themselves, which produce power. But before this electricity is used, it needs to be run through an inverter. This is because solar panels create power in direct current. You might remember from high school physics that there are two types of power, alternating current and direct current. Both the electric grid and household appliances run on alternating current. So the inverter changes the direct current, DC power, that the solar panels create to the alternating current, AC power, that we need. Then the electricity is used to power household appliances. Any power that is left over flows across the utility meter and into the electric grid. At night, or other times when the solar panels don't produce enough electricity to provide all of a home's power needs, additional power is drawn from the electric grid through the meter. Solar homes benefit from being connected to the electric grid because it acts as a backup source of power for when a home's solar panels can't produce all the energy it needs. Community solar projects differ from typical residential rooftop systems in that the power is generated in a different location than it is consumed. Community solar projects are large arrays installed in a community. Residents and businesses can subscribe to receive a portion of the energy produced from the system. In fact, any utility customer in the area can subscribe. Subscribers then receive a credit on their bill associated with the community solar energy generation. The subscriber decides how much solar they would like, so they can offset all or part of their electricity needs. For more information, watch NYSERDA's short community solar video on YouTube. There are a number of incentives available to residents interested in installing rooftop solar PV. This slide provides information on three key incentives. The first is the Federal Investment Tax Credit. The Investment Tax Credit, one of the largest incentives available for solar, is a federal incentive given to every solar project owned by a for-profit organization or a homeowner. The value of this tax credit is 30% of the installation cost and is available to projects through December 31st, 2019. After that, it will drop to 26% in 2020, 22% in 2021, and 10% in 2022 and onward. Another incentive is the New York State Residential Solar Tax Credit. The value of this credit is 25% of the system cost, or $5,000, whichever is less. This credit is applicable to systems up to 25 kilowatts for single-family and 50 kilowatts for condo associations or cooperatives. It does not have a set expiration date. The third incentive is the New York Sun incentive. This incentive reduces the overall installed cost of rooftop solar systems via incentives paid directly to the contractor. The incentive amount is based on the blocks for each region and sector. Residential, non-residential, and commercial projects are eligible to receive this incentive. The Affordable Solar Incentive is available for income-qualified homeowners and works just like other New York Sun incentives. However, there are household income requirements as well as minor low-cost energy efficiency upgrades to the home. There are several different solar PV ownership models. The two basic structures that I will be discussing today are direct ownership and third-party ownership. Direct ownership is when the customer purchases the solar PV system directly, either through cash or loan. Through purchasing the system, you, as the customer, get to take advantage of all of the financial incentives directly. In third-party ownership, the customer works with a solar developer. The solar developer finances and owns the project. The customer then enters into a contract with the developer. The contract entered into is usually either a lease agreement or a power purchase agreement, or PPA. With both a lease and a PPA, there is no upfront cost for the customer, and the installer owns the system and collects the incentives. The incentives are then passed on to the customer through a lower lease payment or PPA price. One of the main differences is that with a lease, the customer makes a flat monthly payment to the solar developer. In a PPA, the customer payment to the solar developer is based on a dollar per kilowatt hour basis. As the customer, you are paying the developer a predetermined price for every kilowatt hour the system produces over that month. Lease contracts can vary in length and often depend on the options the installer offers. PPAs are usually 20 years. For community solar, there are two different membership types. With the subscription model, there is little to no upfront cash layout. The customer subscribes to the project under a pay-as-you-go payment plan. Subscriptions may have different term options. Most developers offer this kind of plan. The other membership type is that customers enter into a purchase plan. With this model, the customer owns a set number of panels of the community solar project. Financing options are typically available. There are potentially greater savings over time, and the customer may be eligible for tax credits. Purchase plans are less common, and many developers do not offer them. Solar for All is a state-administered utility bill assistance program that improves access to solar for low-income households across New York through no-cost community solar subscriptions. Participants save money through a free community solar subscription. Both renters and homeowners are eligible to participate and receive credits on their electric bill. The New York State Solar Permit is the standardized permit application designed to streamline the approval process for installing solar in the community. It has been adopted by many communities around the state. All Solarized campaigns are encouraged to adopt the New York State Unified Solar Permit or be in the process of adoption. Adoption of the Unified Solar Permit is necessary for Clean Energy Communities designation. Now we'll talk a bit about how to increase solar PV deployment in your community with a Solarized campaign. NYSERDA has developed the Resource Guide to Solarized Campaign Success, which is a roadmap for community leaders who want to make going solar easier and more affordable for their neighbors. The guide outlines each step of running a successful rooftop solar or community solar Solarized campaign. It provides information on developing the core campaign team, conducting outreach, reviewing installer or developer bids, and celebrating success. Solarized campaigns help homes and businesses go solar through locally organized community outreach. Solarized members can collectively negotiate rates, select an installer or community solar developer, and decrease the upfront costs of going solar. To date, communities in New York State have completed more than 90 Solarized campaigns. So why choose a Solarized program? A large portion of the non-hardware costs of solar are commonly grouped together as soft costs. These soft costs include the cost of handling processes such as permitting and interconnection, marketing costs including customer acquisition, and installation costs including design, financing, and labor costs. These components have a significant impact on the cost of solar. Solarized campaigns target customer acquisition and financing costs, but can also reduce costs associated with permitting and inspections. But how is Solarize able to address these market barriers? With Solarize, the installer or group of installers is able to provide a lower price because of aggregated demand. The complexity of going solar for customers is minimized through the community vetting of the selected installer or developer. And by running the campaign for a specific time with a known deadline, customers are urged to move quickly to get the great deal that the Solarize program provides. There are two kinds of Solarized campaigns: Rooftop Solar and Community Solar. Rooftop Solar Solarized campaigns focus on getting a group of homes and businesses in an area to install solar panels directly on their properties. Rooftop solar installations offer a way to harness the power of the sun through panels installed on the roof of the home or business. Throughout this presentation, the term solar installer will be used when referring to rooftop campaigns. Community solar Solarized campaigns focus on getting a group of homes and businesses to subscribe to a community solar project in the area. Community solar projects allow renters, homeowners, and businesses to benefit from solar without having to install solar panels on their rooftop or property. As long as your community members are located in the same utility territory as a project, they should be able to receive the benefits of community solar. Throughout this presentation, the term solar developer will be used when referring to community solar campaigns. Solarized campaigns are supported by NYSERDA throughout the campaign. NYSERDA support includes resources including installer requests for proposal templates for rooftop solar PV and community solar campaigns, marketing materials, an outreach toolkit, and tips for managing traditional media and social media. Clean Energy Community, or CEC, coordinator support, pre-qualification of solar installers, hosting an informational workshop, webinar about the process, providing a technical review of proposals by NYSERDA's technical assistance provider. We'll now go through the components of how to plan your Solarize campaign. Solarize campaigns often involve several different types of groups, including the local community, NYSERDA, the selected solar installer or developer, and the solar customer. Members from each of these groups could fulfill a number of potential roles. Members of the local community could be solar ambassadors, event hosts, members of engagement and grassroots groups, or involved in communication strategies. NYSERDA provides program support, technical assistance, and solar incentives. Installers and developers will provide turnkey installation, ownership and subscription models, and competitive pricing. Solar customers will receive a free site assessment, decide on an ownership model, go solar, and then tell their friends and neighbors about the experience. The typical timeline for a Solarized campaign is about 7 to 8 months. During the first 2 months, you are usually focused on the pre-launch activities, which include team creation, outreach and marketing planning, and selecting an installer or developer. From months 3 to 4 is when the campaign launches, and you begin doing outreach. Months 5 through 6 are focused on maintaining campaign momentum through public outreach. You will be running educational workshops, participating in community events to promote the program, working closely with your installer, and trying to get people to sign up with the program to get a free site assessment and hopefully decide to go solar. At the end of the campaign, you will celebrate your success and think about what is next. We'll go through each of these components later in this presentation. One of the first steps of a Solarized campaign is creating a team that will organize and run the campaign. A campaign team will include a core team of volunteers, along with other individuals and organizations that will have discrete roles and will be involved throughout the campaign. Every team member should have a role so that everyone on the team feels included and empowered to contribute. Dividing tasks or roles will help manage the workload and avoid volunteer burnout. Some key roles you will want to fill. Project manager or team leader. This will be the person responsible for overseeing and managing the entire campaign. Often this person is affiliated with a local nonprofit or a local government. Managing a Solarized campaign is a major time commitment, so you will want to make sure the team leader has the time to dedicate to the program. This person will also schedule regular team check-ins and will serve as the point of contact for the installer or developer. Solar Installer or Developer Selection Committee. This group of community members is responsible for evaluating bids, interviewing, and selecting the installer and developer for the Solarized campaign. The recruitment lead will coordinate the solar ambassadors and recruit additional volunteers to assist with the campaign. The communications and outreach lead will coordinate the outreach calendar, participate in meetings with the installer or developer, and they will build and maintain the customer database in coordination with the team lead. The media outreach liaison is responsible for managing the campaign's relationship with local media and also managing the social media profile of the campaign. The event planner is going to plan and oversee all of the events the campaign conducts, including managing the outreach and marketing of the campaign. The community outreach coordinator is responsible for sharing information about the campaign with the local community, including canvassing, setting up lawn signs, and emailing attendees about upcoming events. Additional community volunteers are recruited to help out activities of the core team. Solar ambassadors are often people in your community that have already gone solar and are willing to talk about their experience with going solar and potentially offer tours of their solar system to interested Solarized campaign participants. Solar owners are some of the most effective, enthusiastic, and influential sales agents, so it is helpful to have them attend events and tell their stories. Once you have identified your Solarized campaign team, you'll want to consider your outreach strategy. With your team, complete the campaign tracking form template, which can be found on the New York Sun website. In building your outreach strategy, the campaign will want to define a target audience, set goals, identify outreach opportunities, for example, canvassing, bill inserts, lawn signs, community events. Look at local calendars and tap into existing events. Create your own events, workshops at libraries, solar home tours, financing workshops. Work with partners to plan events. Incorporate an educational component for every outreach strategy. And stay active. Create and update a community Solarized webpage. Send email updates about campaign successes and events to the customer lead list. And encourage the installer to participate in events when possible. Developing key partnerships with existing organizations is essential to spreading the word about the campaign. Campaigns may want to identify influential organizations in the community that are effective in connecting with people. These organizations often have established communication networks and well-developed constituencies. They may not always share an obvious interest in environmental issues or solar, but may see the benefits to the members or constituents for supporting the program. For example, chambers of commerce, Boys and Girl Scouts, garden clubs, Rotary clubs, schools, etc. In exchange for agreeing to include messages about the campaign to constituents, you might consider listing them as a partner on your website or marketing materials. These partnerships elevate the legitimacy of the campaign to the community. The campaign may want to consider, what organizations are influential in my community? With what organizations do team members have established relationships? What organizations share a common message or interest? Next, think about the activities and events to incorporate into your campaign schedule. There are many different types of outreach activities campaigns can undertake. Based on previous Solarized campaigns, some of the most effective outreach ideas and activities campaigns can consider include solar tours. Solar owners agree to open up their homes to show visitors their solar panels and associated equipment, inverters, meters, etc., and to talk with visitors about why and how they went solar. Installation events. Invite potential solar customers to watch the solar installers at work and talk with the homeowner. A live installation, particularly the first one in the campaign, is a very exciting event in a community. Canvassing. Identify neighborhoods with good solar potential and leave door hangers that briefly describe the campaign, the support from the community leaders, and that mention that their home may be a good candidate for solar. Be sure to get permission from the municipality before starting such a campaign. Your team should also promote the campaign through the media, mapping out all the potential media outlets, thinking about press-worthy events or campaign milestones, and developing relationships with reporters early in the campaign is a low-cost strategy for spreading the word about Solarize. Campaigns should consider developing relationships with media contacts, editors and reporters, at local papers, radio stations, local cable access stations, and other local media outlets. Identifying press release-worthy events, including campaign launch events, the first live installation, a solar tour, and the end of the program. Providing print-ready articles with visuals and graphics that can be placed and run as is in local and regional publications. Developing graphics that tell your campaign story and are print-ready. Review the Solarized Guidebook for additional outreach ideas and media engagements. Bring your campaign online. Create and update a community Solarized website. The website should include upcoming campaign events, answers to frequently asked questions, quotes or letters of support from local leaders, and a link to schedule a site assessment with the selected installer. When used well, social media can be an effective tool for spreading the word about your Solarized campaign. Designate a social media coordinator on your team and start early in the campaign process in order to gain awareness and interest. Make sure to post about every event and share successes and key milestones. NYSERDA has a number of marketing and outreach materials available on their website for campaigns to customize and use. These include flyers, postcards, pricing handouts, banners, and yard signs. If utilizing new materials, make sure to minimize the amount of text. Include relevant local pictures and the campaign logo. Focus on a specific message and date or deadline, and direct readers to the campaign website. You can distribute these materials at events and key locations throughout the community. These should be highly visible locations like libraries, coffee shops, grocery stores, community bulletin boards, and the local waste station. Work with local government to include Solarized materials in tax bills or with the water utility to include in a customer water bill. Make sure to check with your local government about any restrictions on posting and distributing information. Now we'll go through the steps of the community's process to select a solar installer for a Rooftop Solar Solarized campaign or a solar developer for a community solar Solarized campaign. The Request for Proposal, or RFP, template for a rooftop solar campaign, available on NYSERDA's website, is intended to be customized by the community for their Solarized campaign. The RFP includes an overview of the Solarized model and timeline for installers, installer expectations and proposal requirements, proposal evaluation criteria, and a standard form for the price proposal and financing options. Using the template, develop and issue an RFP. NYSERDA provides a template RFP for both rooftop solar and community solar campaigns. NYSERDA will also help get the word out to solar installers and developers in New York about your RFP. Once your RFP is issued, the next step is to receive responses to the RFP from solar installers or developers wanting to work with your campaign. NYSERDA helps by pre-qualifying solar installers and developers to be able to work with your community. Your team will then review and evaluate the responses you receive. NYSERDA's technical assistance providers will also review the RFP responses received and provide a proposal review webinar for the campaign team. In this presentation, the technical assistance provider will review each bidder's pricing, equipment, and overall quality of the proposal, as well as provide recommended interview questions to the campaign team. Remember, the selection is solely up to the campaign team. The technical assistance provider will answer questions and provide an objective review of the bids, but will not make recommendations as to which bid to select. Next, your team will host interviews with the respondents and ultimately select one or more to work with your campaign. And then you'll officially launch your campaign. NYSERDA is available throughout this process to answer any questions and help to troubleshoot any issues that may arise. As the campaign team reviews the installer responses, you may decide to work with just one or multiple installers based on their offerings and the needs of your community. With a single installer program, participants are encouraged to do their own neighbor-to-neighbor outreach. There is only one installer for the campaign to manage, and the messaging is easier for participants to understand. However, with only one installer, there is a potential for some backlog if the number of interested residents is high. There is also less diversity and options for participants. With a multiple installer program, more installers are able to take part in the campaign, leading to more options for participants. However, managing multiple installers can be challenging and make the process more difficult to explain to participants of the campaign. In developing the RFP, you will also develop your evaluation criteria for the proposals you receive. In developing the criteria, it's important to consider which factors matter most to your community. Some potential criteria you can use to evaluate installers are listed on the slide, including the overall quality and value of the proposal, the experience of the installer. For example, have they participated in a Solarize program before? The installer's capacity to implement the program. For instance, whether their plans for dealing with high levels of customer volume. The financial strength of the installer, their pricing proposal, their marketing plan, and the local economic and environmental impact of the proposed program. After the RFP is issued and installer proposals are submitted, it is then up to the installer selection committee to evaluate each installer's proposal based on the criteria outlined in the RFP. We have seen campaigns receive up to 7 proposals. It is usually recommended that the committee identify the top respondents to the RFP and conduct interviews to help with the evaluation process. Once interviews are conducted, the selection committee selects the installer or installers that will work with their community. The Community Solar RFP template allows campaigns to offer their community the option to participate in community solar. Developers can offer shares in upcoming and/or existing community solar projects and determine which plans to offer community members. The basic options include subscription plans where customers pay no upfront fee for a solar share and instead pay a monthly fee. This pay-as-you-go subscription requires little to no upfront cash layout, offers different term options, and provides a guaranteed percentage discount on the credit price for the duration of the subscription. Purchase plans where customers buy and own a solar share for an upfront fee. Financing options are typically available, and these plans may be eligible for tax incentives. Purchase plans also offer the potential for greater savings over time. The main differences between Rooftop Solar Solarized Campaigns and Community Solar Solarized Campaigns are summarized in the following slides. Understanding the main differences between Rooftop and Community Solar will help your team decide which type of Solarized campaign is most appropriate for your community. Eligible participants. In Rooftop Solar campaigns, homeowners and businesses with suitable roof and sunlight access are eligible to participate. In Community Solar campaigns, homeowners, renters, and businesses are eligible to participate regardless of roof or sunlight access. Location. In Rooftop Solar campaigns, solar panels will be installed on the rooftop of the homeowner or business owner. In Community Solar campaigns, the solar panels will be ground-mounted on leased land or a rooftop located in the community's utility territory. Program models. Participants in a rooftop solar campaign will either directly own the panels, or they will enter a lease or PPA with a third party. Participants in a community solar campaign will either purchase a solar share or they will enter a subscription plan where they will pay a monthly fee. Billings and savings also vary in rooftop versus community solar campaigns. In a rooftop solar campaign, participants will receive credits on their monthly utility bill for solar production sent to the local power grid. The utility will administer these credits on a monthly basis, and excess credits will roll over to the next billing cycle. In a community solar campaign, participants will receive credits on their monthly utility bill for the solar production from their solar share sent to the local grid. The developer will provide solar production information for each participant to the utility. Participants will then receive a monthly bill from the utility and a monthly bill from the developer. The utility administers these credits on a monthly basis, and excess credits will roll over to the next billing cycle. Lastly, there will be variation among rooftop solar campaigns and community solar campaigns when it comes to key contract details, such as contract duration, operations and maintenance, and moving or selling the property. Contract duration. In rooftop solar campaigns, leases and power purchase agreements will vary in length, but are typically somewhere between 20 and 25 years. Contracts will typically include a termination fee. Community solar contracts also tend to vary in length, and they may or may not include a termination fee. Operations and maintenance. For rooftop solar campaigns, operations and maintenance are up to the system owner in the case of a direct ownership model, or the solar installer in the case of a lease or PPA. For community solar campaigns, operations and maintenance are the responsibility of the solar developer. Moving or selling the property. For rooftop solar campaigns, PV systems that are owned directly can be passed on to the next homeowner, and the value of the system will be included in the purchase price. Under a lease or PPA model, systems can also be taken over by the next homeowner. For community solar campaigns, the purchase or subscription will remain with the purchaser or subscriber as long as they stay within the utility territory. Although it has already been discussed, we want to reiterate that proposal evaluation is not just about price. A national DOE survey of Solarized Campaign organizers found that the 4 criteria weighted most heavily by the selection committees were: 1. Reputation for customer satisfaction. This is reasonable considering you are the trusted team running this campaign for your community, and you want your community members to be happy with their experience. 2. That they were a local establishment. 3. The price. And 4. Their Solarized experience. Had they participated in a Solarized campaign in the past? These don't have to be the 4 most important criteria to your campaign, but it is important to consider other factors besides price when making your decision. This slide provides an overview of some frequently asked questions regarding the RFP templates. Some communities have asked, can we change the RFP or use our own? Yes, it is your community and your campaign. The templates will require you to make some changes and edits in order to customize it for your group, and you can add in your own community priorities. If you wish to use an entirely different document or process, reach out to NYSERDA to discuss. How should we make solar installers or developers aware of our campaign and distribute our RFP? The New York Sun team will be providing all eligible solar installers with a list of new campaigns. However, we also recommend reaching out to installers in your area and utilizing the public list of New York Sun installers that can be found on the New York Sun website. And what if someone on your core team has a business or personal connection to an installer that is responding to the RFP? That core team member should not participate on the Solarized team, but should still participate in the campaign as a customer or solar ambassador. Installers or developers are integral Solarized team members, and it is important to involve them in every step of the campaign. Once you've selected your installer or installers, it's important to have discussions early on with your installer, laying out each entity's roles, responsibilities, and setting out expectations. Some issues to discuss early on include: clarify and define roles, especially regarding campaign activities and education or outreach. What will be the campaign team's role versus the installer or developer's role? Set up a method and expectations for sharing campaign metrics. For example, how frequently does the campaign team want to see their metrics? And how often can the installer or developer provide these metrics and in what form? Coordinate on marketing and an online presence. For example, whose logo and contact information will be going on outreach and marketing materials? Both the campaigns and the installer developer, or just the installer or developer. Set expectations for timeliness of customer service. How long will it take for the installer to follow up with customers? What is a reasonable time frame in the campaign team's eyes, and what is reasonable for the installer? With multiple installers, it's important to determine how customer leads will be shared and how campaign operating costs will be shared among the installers. Clarifying roles, responsibilities, and expectations between the campaign and installer or developer is one of the most important steps to guarantee a successful partnership. Additionally, there are a few best practices installers can use to make sure the campaign and the Solarized customers have a good experience. 1. The installer or developer should make immediate contact with the customer once they've expressed interest in the Solarized program. 2. The installer or developer should also find ways to streamline price quote delivery and should connect customers directly to financing partners to ask questions if financing partners are being used in your campaign. 3. In the case of Rooftop Solar, if a customer has said they will be moving forward with the installation, the installer should have the customer sign a letter of intent prior to the actual contract being delivered and signed. In the case of community solar, the developer should provide options for when projects become fully subscribed. If your campaign team needs other strategies for establishing a good working relationship, reach out to NYSERDA for assistance. Now that you have selected the installer or developer that will work with your community, it is time to launch your Solarized campaign. The Solarized launch is one of the most important events of the campaign, as it sets an exciting tone for the campaign, gives participants access to information, and introduces them to the solar installer or community solar developer and other people who have gone solar. The launch also shows the community that local leaders and organizations are supporting the campaign, which provides credibility and builds trust in the campaign. Some strategies for a successful launch include: plan launch events with enough advance notice, at least 1 month. Note that soft launches are not recommended. Build excitement for the event. Invite media, email invitations, leverage social media, and distribute flyers. Set up registration for the event to track those who attend and allow remarketing. Plan to have a local leader speak at the event. Hold interviews with local media. Invite solar installers or solar developers and solar ambassadors to attend and potentially speak. Serve light food and refreshments. There are a number of different campaign launch events that teams can consider. The workshop launch can be a structured event that lasts 1 to 2 hours and typically involves a full Solar 101 presentation. This launch provides an opportunity for people to gain a full understanding of the campaign and solar energy, as well as to meet the installer or developer. You may instead want to do a launch celebration/meet and greet, which typically has more of a party atmosphere. These types of launches will typically include a few informal comments from Solarized organizers, local leaders, and/or current solar owners, but educational workshops are usually planned a week later so people can get more in-depth information. Regardless of the launch type, there are a few key elements that should be covered at a typical launch event. Introduce the Solarized team. Have a local leader endorse the campaign. Give facts about solar. Provide information about the website and how to get a solar quote through the Solarized campaign. Introduce the installer or developer. Have a solar ambassador give testimonial. Create a festive, fun atmosphere. And outline what to look for in the future to build excitement. So you have launched your campaign and stirred up a lot of excitement. You'll want to capitalize on that initial energy and take steps to maintain the campaign momentum. Holding regular scheduled calls with Solarized members and the installer or developer is important to keep everyone engaged, to understand how the campaign is progressing, and to identify problems as early as possible. During these calls, it is important to check on the progress of the campaign, including the number of inquiries, site visits, quotes provided, and contracts signed. Have the installer or developer provide updates and review metric tracking. Talk about any problems, concerns, or opportunities. Develop talking points for campaign volunteers so messaging is consistent. Review upcoming outreach events to see if there are enough planned for the next 2 to 4 weeks, or whether too much activity is planned. Prepare for marketing collateral for upcoming events. Review a website to ensure it has up-to-date information and photos. Share comments from participants. Verify if installer is keeping up with site visits and customer contact. And plan to get out to take pictures if installations are scheduled. It is also important for teams to track and monitor customer inquiries. Best practices include creating strategies to address problems early in the process, identifying key points of success to tell media and the community, and tracking metrics throughout the campaign. Based on the experience of many New York State Solarized campaigns, there are 5 main ways by which the solar participants have found out about the campaigns. By far, the most successful strategy for reaching residents and instilling confidence in a Solarized program is a letter sent to all of a town's homeowners at the beginning of the campaign from a chief elected official. This letter lets the community members know that the town supports Solarize and encourages homeowners to participate. Media opportunities include press releases, news advisories, op-ed pieces, letters to the editor, and appearances on local radio and television shows. In addition, town websites and town and personal Facebook pages are used to publicize the program and significant events. Informational workshops held regularly throughout the campaign give homeowners an opportunity to learn about solar and the details of Solarize. Yard signs and table banners are another effective communication and outreach strategy. Signage reminds people about the Solarize program. The homes of people who own solar and town properties are good places for signs. Each town has a different policy regarding signage, so check feasibility before ordering. And make sure to utilize your solar ambassadors. Residents in your community who support solar and are willing to volunteer are the best proponents of Solarize. Often these residents already have solar on their own homes or are dedicated to renewable energy. This gives them an opportunity to talk to their friends and neighbors about solar. There is a lot of excitement at the start of the Solarized campaign, but it is important to maintain that momentum through the duration of the campaign. This slide lists a variety of creative ways to keep people interested throughout the campaign, including solar bike tours, solar bingo, farmers markets, and other unique activities and events specific to your community. You may also want to incorporate solar testimonials into your continued momentum strategy. Consider asking one of the first participants to sign up or to be installed to provide a quote about their experience. Post these on the campaign website or use on flyers and other outreach materials to show enthusiasm, pride, and a positive experience. There is still some work to do towards the end of a Solarized campaign. As you near the end of the campaign, remember that typically 50% of Solarized participants sign contracts in the last 2 weeks. Make sure that you plan with your installer or developer to manage this busy period. Ask NYSERDA if you need assistance addressing this end of campaign push. You've worked hard for months, so make sure to celebrate all that success with an end-of-campaign event. Invite the press and campaign participants, even those who may still be undecided. Use this opportunity to announce the final number of signed contracts and installations as a result of the campaign. Thank your participants, the installer or developer, your campaign team, and any volunteers for their help increasing solar in the community. Keep the campaign momentum going even past the official end date. Connect interested residents to other potential energy options like community solar projects, clean heating and cooling programs, and energy efficiency programs. Keep the Solarized campaign website active so others can learn about your success. And consider running another campaign in the future. Thank you for your attention. For more information, visit nyserda.ny.gov/solarize. For questions, email communitysolar@nyserda.ny.gov.